Bonjour les élèves. Dans le dernier cours, on a appris le passé composé. Aujourd'hui, on va apprendre quelque chose de plus sur le passé composé. Did you get me? I just said that in our last lesson, we did the passé composé. And today, we are going to learn something more about the passé composé. The title of this lesson is Je suis né. You remember, when we began our class, we started with Je m'appelle something, Je suis indien, Je suis né, le, date, le mois, et l'année. So, je suis né means I was born, or so je suis né is actually something that can be related to le passé composé. As we have already learned, le présent, l'impératif, and le passé composé of the regular verbs, you might be remembering j'ai aimé, tu as regardé, vous avez attendu, elles ont entendu. These are the passé composé form, but those were of regular verbs. And today, we are going to do with some other verbs in which the composition of passé composé is quite different. So, there are primarily 15 verbs. There are primarily 15 verbs in which the composition of passé composé, the auxiliary verb is not avoir, it's être. Like we have done tu as aimé, j'ai regardé. We were using the auxiliary avoir. But in the case of these 15 verbs, we are going to use the auxiliary être. And these 15 verbs are aller, venir, to go, to come, retourner, to come back, entrer, to enter, sortir, to exit or to leave. Monter is to climb up, descendre, to climb down, arriver, to arrive, partir, to depart, rester, to stay, passer, to pass, tomber, to fall, apparaître, to appear, naître, to be born, mourir, to die. So, these 15 verbs which are primarily related to action, the passé composé is constructed with être. So, like regarder, a regular verb, regarder, we said j'ai regardé, tu as regardé, il a regardé, elle a regardé, nous avons regardé, vous avez regardé, ils ont regardé, elles ont regardé. In case of these verbs, it will be, for example, with aller, je suis allé, tu es allé, il est allé, elle est allée, nous sommes allés, vous êtes allés, ils sont allés, elles sont allées. So, we are going to do the liaison later on, but now I am just indicating the form. Just pay attention that the auxiliary verb that we are using for these 15 verbs are être and not avoir. So, Similarly, it will be je suis venu, tu es venu, il est venu, elle est venue, nous sommes venus, vous êtes venus, ils sont venus, elles sont venues. So, you have to also remember not only these 15 verbs, or also the reflexive verbs, les verbes pronominaux. Les verbes pronominaux, that means je m'appelle, je me suis, se laver, je me lave. These are also conjugated with être. So, for example, se laver means to wash. I wash myself. Je me lave. So, je me suis lavé means I washed myself. So, also for the pronominal verbs, it is conjugated with être, not avoir. So, le passé composé is venir de, to come from. Elle est venue du Japon. She came from Japan. Arriver à, on or au, according to the place that we are indicating. But you remember one more thing, that the participe passé in this particular composition of passé composé, the subject pronoun will also decide the form of participe passé. In elle est venue, you can see that with venu, we have added an extra E. Elle est venue du Japon. She came from Japan. And ils ont arrivé au restaurant means they arrived to the restaurant, but they is a plural form. So, also with participe passé, an extra S has been added. Monter sur means to climb on or climb upon. Je suis monté sur le mur. In this case, from the composition itself, you can make out je suis monté with an extra E. That means the person who is speaking is a female person. Je suis monté sur le mur. I climbed upon the wall. Entrer dans means to enter into something. Watch out, since this one doesn't use preposition in English. So, il est entré dans la maison. He entered the house. Il est entré. So, again and again, I am telling you, the participe passé for these 15 verbs and for the reflexive verbs or les verbes pronominaux, the participe passé takes the gender and the number of the subject pronoun. Rester dans or à. Tu es resté dans ta chambre means you stayed in your room. Tu es resté. Sortir de means to exit. Watch out again. This does not use a preposition in English. I exited the room or I exited the class, but in French we say on est sorti de l'hôtel. On est sorti de l'hôtel means we exited the hotel. But on, or we can also say nous sommes sortis de l'hôtel means we exited the hotel. Descendre de. Descendre de means to climb down or go downstairs. So, nous sommes descendus de l'arbre. Nous sommes descendus de l'arbre. We climbed down the tree. We climbed down from the tree. So, nous sommes descendus de l'arbre. And then, tomber de, tomber sur. So, you can fall from some place or you fall on something. Vous êtes tombé de cheval. Actually, it means you fell from the horse. You fell down from the horse. So, vous êtes tombé de cheval. Here again, by this composition, you can make out that there is an extra E and S. That means the vous subject pronoun is feminine and in plural. Vous êtes tombé de cheval. The next one is partir à or partir en, to leave for. Il est parti en France. He left for France. Il est parti en Inde means he left for India. Il est parti à New Delhi means he left for New Delhi. Aller au or aller à, aller on, or chez. It depends. The prepositions, we have done a separate class on prepositions. So, aller à means to go to. Tu es allé à Paris. You went to Paris. Once again, I would request you to look at the specific participe passé with an extra E. That means, tu es allé à Paris means here the tu is, the subject pronoun tu is a female character, feminine, with an extra E at the end. Passer par means to go through a place. So, nous sommes passés par Paris. We passed through or we went through Paris. Retourner à or retourner au. Retourner and rentrer might be having some meaning. Rentrer also means to, rentrer chez moi means to go back home. Retourner is to return to or to go back to. Il est retourné à la boulangerie. He returned back to the bakery. Il est retourné à la boulangerie. Je suis rentré chez moi à 8 heures du soir hier. Hier, je suis rentré chez moi à 8 heures du soir means yesterday I returned home at 8 o'clock in the evening. Naître à, naître au and en. To be born in. Je suis né à Paris. Here again the participe passé shows that the person who said it is a female character because there is an extra E. After the participe passé, it was added. Je suis né à Paris. Je suis né à New Delhi. Il est né à Bogota means he was born in Bogota. So, I was born in Paris. He was born in Bogota. So, naître à or naître au is before a country. For example, a very famous swimmer from England was born in the United Kingdoms. United Kingdoms is au Royaume-Uni. So, in that case, you can say that la personne est née au Royaume-Uni. Or, for example, you want to say somebody called Farid or Khaled, a very well-known name in Maghrebian countries in north of Africa, was born in Morocco. So, how do you say Khaled was born in Morocco? Khaled est né au Maroc. Je suis né en Inde. I was born in India. Je suis né en Inde. Then, another word which is just opposite of naître, mourir. Mourir is to die. Mourir à, au and en. To die in. Similarly, elle est morte chez elle. She died in her home. Elle est morte à New Delhi. She died in New Delhi. So, with this, we are coming to a conclusive understanding of the participe passé and le passé composé. So, remember, for most of the regular verbs and most of the verbs, irregular verbs as well, it is often conjugated with avoir. But in case of these 15 verbs, it is conjugated with être. So, venir, aller, partir, descendre, monter, naître, mourir, rentrer, retourner. So, these are the verbs you have to keep in mind which are conjugated with être, as well as les verbes pronominaux means the reflexive verbs. That means any verbs in finite form you have se, laver, s'amuser. These are the verbs which are also conjugated with être. Quelle est votre date de naissance? So, this is a particular question which you are often asked at the immigration office and other administrative places. Quelle est votre date de naissance? What is your date of birth? Quelle est votre date de naissance? So when Catherine says, je suis né le 31 décembre, she is saying, she will be writing with an extra E. Je suis né le 31 décembre. And when Paul says the same thing, Paul dit, je suis né le 1er janvier. I was born on 1st of January. So just see that the past participle in passé composé, when it is conjugated with être, it takes the gender and the number of the subject pronoun. Remember this because otherwise it will be incorrect. I went to Paris last year. How do you say, I went to Paris last year? Last is dernière. Year is année. L'année dernière, je suis allé à Paris. Je suis allé à Paris. The students went to Canada 2 years ago. The students went to Canada 2 years ago. Les élèves sont allés au Canada il y a 2 ans, or 2 ans avant, as you say. Les élèves sont allés, so in this participe passé, past participle, you have to put A, L, L, E, accent aigu, S, because the students are in plural. I went back to the bakery, I forgot my wallet over there. How do you say it in French? I went to the bakery, I forgot my wallet over there. Je suis retourné à la boulangerie, j'ai oublié ma portefeuille. Portefeuille is the wallet. J'ai oublié. So now you see in this single sentence, we have 2 different forms of passé composé. Je suis retourné and j'ai oublié. Oublier means to forget. So, j'ai oublié, tu as oublié, il a oublié, nous avons oublié, vous avez oublié, ils ont oublié, elles ont oublié. Whereas, retourner, je suis retourné, tu es retourné, il est retourné, elle est retournée, nous sommes retournés, vous êtes retournés, ils sont retournés, elles sont retournées. And also mind, when you were saying they, and because it's with a liaison, ils ont oublié and ils sont retournés. Se and zon. These are 2 different sounds. So, ils sont retournés and ils ont oublié. Remember the pronunciation part of it. I entered the classroom very late. How do you say? We have done the word for late. Late is tard. Very late is très tard. I entered the classroom very late. I entered the classroom very late. Je suis entré la classe très tard. Je suis entré la classe très tard. So you know, la classe also actually in French talks about the physical space. Je suis entré la classe très tard. I exited the cinema hall after the break. How do you say the break? The break is la pause. Exited is sorti. Je suis sorti du cinéma après la pause. Après la pause. Je suis sorti du cinéma après la pause. I climbed the mountain after the sunrise. We are learning a new expression today, le lever du soleil. Le lever du soleil means the sunrise. I climbed the mountain after the sunrise. Climbed up is monter. So how do you make the past tense? Je monte La montagne après le lever du soleil means I am climbing the mountain after the sunrise, but I climbed in the past. Je suis monté la montagne après le lever du soleil. Je suis monté la montagne après le lever du soleil. And I came down to the dining room after 8 in the evening. I came down to the dining room after 8 in the evening. So how do you translate? I am coming down is je descends à la salle à manger, so dining room, which we have done in our previous class. If you remember, le salon, la salle à manger, la salle de bain. Then we have done le balcon. So that dining room is la salle à manger. Je suis descendu à la salle à manger après 8 heures du soir. Je suis descendu à la salle à manger après 8 heures du soir. Paul's grandfather died in the hospital Saint-Jacques. Just to tell you, in Paris, we have many hospitals. Hôpital Cochin being the biggest one, where all the state dignitaries are admitted in case of health urgencies and emergencies. Another big hospital is Saint-Jacques Hospital, so Hôpital Saint-Jacques. So now we have to say Paul's grandfather died in the hospital Saint-Jacques, Hôpital Saint-Jacques. So how do you say? Le grand-père de Paul, le grand-père de Paul, le grand-père de Paul est décédé dans l'hôpital Saint-Jacques. Le grand-père de Paul est décédé dans l'hôpital Saint-Jacques. I fell from the stairs and I broke my leg. How do you say break? To break in French, casser. So, both these verbs are in past tense. I fell from the stairs. Stairs is les escaliers. Je suis tombé de l'escalier et j'ai cassé mon pied. Je suis tombé de l'escalier et j'ai cassé mon pied. Again, here you have two verbs which are conjugated with two different forms of passé composé. One with avoir and the other one with être. Je suis tombé is I fell from the stairs. Je suis tombé des escaliers et j'ai cassé mon pied. I broke my leg. The train came late. The train came late. The train came late in French. Le train est venu très tard. Le train est venu tard. Le train est venu tard. The train came late. The book appeared in the stores in November 2020. A certain book came to the stores, but we are saying appeared because I want you to use this word apparaître. In the stores is magasin, in November 2020. So, the translation of this sentence will be le livre est apparu dans les magasins en novembre 2020. Like 2020, we say 2020. Le livre est apparu dans le magasin en novembre 2020. And with this, we are coming to the conclusive stage of le passé composé. So you have learned the regular verbs, the irregular verbs. You have learned the reflexive verbs, les verbes pronominaux. You have also learned these 15 verbs today, which are rather a bit different than the usual form of le passé composé. So, before we conclude this lesson, I would request you to write, I'll say it in French, then I'll explain in English. Écrivez une lettre en utilisant les verbes qu'on a appris aujourd'hui. Écrivez une lettre en utilisant les verbes qu'on a appris aujourd'hui. In real sense, we should have said qu'on a appris, but I am just saying on a appris because we haven't learned the pronom relatif, which we will learn in the next few lessons. Écrivez une lettre, write a letter using the verbs we learned today. With this, mes élèves, je vous souhaite très bon courage, bonne continuation, à la prochaine et au revoir.